So it seems like the heavyweight division of the UFC is trimming the fat. Get it? Trimming, trimming the fat because they're all fat at that division. Okay, okay. I'm sorry, but still, they're trimming the fat. They're getting rid of a lot of fighters, a lot of slow fighters, a lot of non-winning fighters. Um, Jairzinho Rosenstrike was just cut, I think today or yesterday. I like Jairzinho. I liked his fights before. I think he could have put a lot more into his fight last weekend, but you know, I think I liked him before last weekend's fight. Anyway, he's a good fighter. I like the type of fighter he is. Um, he made fucking Shamil Gaziev quit, and Shamil Gaziev just fought. And yes, Shamil won, but still, Shamil Gaziev fucking quit in his fight against Jairzinho. That should give Jairzinho some credit. So, um, it's sad, and they cut Rebellis to Spain not too long ago as well, and they just cut another heavyweight. The name is escaping me. Fuck. I just had his name. I'm gonna figure out how to put that into this video. But yeah, he just fought too. He's a heavyweight fighter. He just fought last weekend. Controversial loss. Um, I didn't see the fight, but as soon as I hopped on the live stream, a lot of you guys were telling me that he deserved to win that fight. So I'll go with that. I should rewatch the fight. I will soon. But this is just an overall take towards the heavyweight division, which, like I said, is getting a lot of its fat trimmed off it. So, it's sad. It's sad to see beloved or trusted or liked fighters get cut. But there's a silver lining, and that silver lining is an organization by the name of Karate Combat. Someone on Twitter has even called for a fight between Rebellis de Spain, a fighter at Karate Combat who's been doing well, and Jairzinho Rosenstrike, who was just cut, and now Karate Combat can sign him as well. And even the president of Karate Combat on Twitter is behind it. He's behind the idea, and he wants to get it done. And I think it would be a really fun fight, and I think it would bring a lot more eyes to Karate Combat. And the more names the UFC cuts, the more eyes are drawn to these other organizations. Case in point, Tony Ferguson, UFC legend, recently cut. He's fighting apparently at the GFL now, and people are invested in the GFL. So kind of a win-win scenario. But yeah, I think the main take is what I basically just said. Karate Combat, fun place, fun organization. They put on fun fights. Rebellis, like I said, has been whooping ass over there, like one punch KOing people. So a fight against a seasoned UFC veteran would make a good fight, And this whole dynamic between Karate Combat and the UFC kind of interests me because it's kind of like, forgive my awkward referencing, but it's kind of like if you ever saw the show Spartacus, because the UFC is kind of like gladiator events. All MMA events are like gladiator events, So the UFC is kind of like the official, what's the name? The official Coliseum, the official big gladiatorial ceremony / event, and then it's like Karate Combat's like the pits, and it's like it's quite literally like the pits because Karate Combat, their fucking octagon or cage or ring is a pit. It's a pit. They're fighting in a pit. So it's pretty cool to see that happen. And maybe the UFC could use Karate Combat as a way to scout new talent. Or maybe not. The UFC has their own way of scouting new talent, Dana White's Contender Series. And I'm sure they have other ways as well or whatever. But still, it's kind of fun to see that whole dynamic coming to light. especially with fighters, like I said, who are being cut from the UFC, from that high Coliseum, you know, official gladiatorial event sort of thing, and they're coming back to the pits, and people are still watching the pits because the pits are fun. The pits, by the pits, I mean, of course, Karate Combat, which I might start referring to as the pits because it's pretty fun. But still, no dig. This isn't a dig towards Karate Combat because Karate Combat is fun. Like I said, people are watching it. You know, people are watching where these cut UFC fighters are going to. I'm sure people are going to watch the GFL. So it's just nice to see new life being brought to um, a place where fighters who are outside of a main organization. It's nice to see eyes are still going towards those fighters and where they go next, and eyes are going towards these new or old organizations that are housing these cut fighters. So it's nice. It's just nice to see this whole process come out, and seeing outreach towards Jairzinho Rosenstrike, who has just been cut from this organization. He's going to need income. He's going to need a next set of steps in his career, so to speak. And this is a great um, next set of steps. This is a great new chapter. You know, Karate Combat has money, apparently. I think even Robelis de Spain spoke to the media and said that he's being paid more than he was at the UFC. So still, it pays. You know, it's going to pay Jairzinho, and I'm sure it's going to pay a lot of future cut UFC fighters down the road. And like I said, maybe the UFC can also pick up fighters from Karate Combat, like Aileen Pereira, Alex Pereira's sister, who currently fights at Karate Combat, and it could definitely use a UFC contract because she is kicking ass over there. And you know, yeah, fun to see that all coming to light, and people are watching it and people are tuning in. The UFC may not be too happy because you know this is a separate business, but still, uh, I'm not a. What I like to say, and what I'm going to start saying more is I'm not a UFC fan per se, and I know I come off a lot like that because all I ever report about is the UFC. I'm trying to branch out and cover boxing and other organizations, but still, I'm not a fan of the UFC. I'm a fan of MMA. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. You know, whether that be with the UFC, the GFL, the Karate Combat, Bellator, PFL, fucking street beefs, even. You know, I'm a fan of all of that. So I kind of go where that goes. A lot of it right now is with the UFC, so that's why I cover a lot of UFC stuff. But expect a lot of different, you know, MMA things. You know, so that should especially be good for you MMA fans out there. Again, no dig to the UFC because I fucking love the UFC and that's how I got into MMA in general. But I just wanted to remind you guys. But anyway, overall, you let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next.